Hi everyone, the mature simmer here. It is time to couper l'herbe or tondre le gazon. I've seen both of those for cut the grass, and since I'm here in France, I might as well spend a little bit of time learning how to speak with the locals. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on that right now, as it is in fact time to cut the grass again, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. So I love being able to do work, because what is the smell of fresh cut grass in the morning? It smells like money. So I'm on my way. Shouldn't take too long, but as a reminder, it is going to take a little longer than it did before, because I have a third field. So I'm going to do my normal process of going ahead and cutting about 4 passes here on this end, so that I can more easily go ahead and make the transition. Actually 2 will work, because now that I think about it, I'm usually going over into the edge, so because there's really no harm against it. So but yeah, I've got, at this point, the situation is I've got about 57,000 liters of grass left to process in the silo. Obviously that's going to take a little bit of time still, most of the day. That also then means I've got some capacity. And that's always a good thing. So I'm going to keep working, doing everything I can to get this work done. So down here on this end, I just had a contract to harvest that field, which is great, because that kind of gets it out of the way for me. So I made a little money, and I made it easier to do my work today. So it's a win-win, as they call it in the fancy business world. But I'm just a farmer trying to make a living here, so I try to be less fancy than that. But, you know, hey, we'll use terms as we need to, just like the French terms for cutting the grass that I shared at the start here. So it's going to take me a bit. They did adjust the time of the server, so they were just on doing that, so that also helps. But it helps kind of in the way that it just makes it a little brighter, and it's more fun for you as a viewer to watch the video than being in the dark, like many times I am. And especially since the dark is relative dark in Farming Simulator, I tend to be pretty bad, I've realized, as I've kind of peeked back at some of the earlier videos for generational farming. I tend to be pretty bad at turning the lights on, because I'm like, I don't need the lights. Whoa. Well, that's not what I wanted to do, because I didn't realize it looked like I had the mower selected. So normally I'm careful not to keep the mower running, and then I can take off and go go do this, and then, you know, it's an efficient collection. But it didn't work that way this time. So getting the first load of midsummer. I'll call it midsummer, because tomorrow I think is still summer. We don't go into fall until September. But it will be the only load of summer. But, you know, this is going pretty well. I'm just able to get in, able to do work. I'm going to end up losing a little bit of that grass, because, goodness, I'm going to knock over my silo. You can't take me anywhere. But I'm probably going to lose a little bit of that grass, because it doesn't 100% collect when you make those turns like that. It's possible, because it's in the middle of the field like that, it'll work okay, but it may not. I am just struggling to get everything picked up. I hadn't turned everything on. It just ran over. But we're good now. So I'll leave you at this point. I'm going to get this work done, including field 39 over there, and hopefully I can get everything in the silo. I should be able to, but I'm going to be more curious what my quantities will be. So I'll get back at the end and let you know what I've got. Grass harvest is done. I can't fit this in the silo. It's full at 338,000. It's going to keep running, so that'll be okay. I'll be able to work on it, but this is kind of exactly what I was hoping. So you can see now we've got room for 51, and you know, in a bit we'll have space, certainly probably by the end of the day. So this is what I've got. Was able to get a little bit of money as well. I think I had mentioned I'd done contracts, so that will help. That will allow me to pay part of the loan. Let me repay 5,000. So we're down to 155, which is not great, but things will work out. I know they will, especially with how I'm seeing things shape up. Today is July. This is rock bottom. Price goes up after this. Again, keep in mind, this looks like a really fancy graph. There's something that I like to tell people when I'm trying to teach them about business, lying with statistics. This is it. This looks like such a massive rise in price. It's a $40 price difference. So, you know, compared to, say, this, it's a $400 price difference over the same thing. So just make sure you understand the scale of your charts when you're looking at things. And don't get too excited by these kind of green bars that basically represent $10 or $15. Let's recap what we've had this year. First harvest, March. Second harvest, May. Third harvest, July. Do we see a pattern? Fourth harvest, September. Fifth harvest, November. Then we start getting into winter where the grass goes dormant. So I'm thinking normally what happens, and what I saw happen last year, overnight in November, because it's still fall and it's, quote, warm, the grass is going to get a growth stage, and then it's going to sit here for those 3 months. So what I'm likely expecting to see is I'm not going to be able to harvest in March like I did this time. I'm going to be able to harvest in April, June, August, October, possibly December. We'll see how that goes. I'm taking a peek because yes, we are, you know, grass is harvestable in any year, so it just can't be planted outside this window. The calculation of buying the field and the profits and so forth was done at 4 harvests a year because I felt that was attainable. Never in my wildest dreams did I think 5 was what we were going to be getting. So that just accelerates things. And once again, going back all the way to episode 2 where I went through all the financial details. So if you haven't seen that and want to understand the ins and outs of the reality of what generational farming is and what it will be doing, and I still contend solely because of the one constraint we have, equipment can't continue. Grass is king. So much king that it's going to become emperor or dictator soon. Because if I can do 5 harvests compared to someone who, even if they're working insanely hard and double crops with crops, and these harvests of grass are basically about the same amount, you know, I'm making $30,000-$40,000 a cycle here. It's just basic math. You know, I'm doing the same thing in a single grass harvest that they are doing off the field in a crop harvest, but I can do it 5 times a year, and they may be able to do it twice. You know, there's a little bit of fluctuation there. You might get lucky with a soybean harvest or something that maybe gets you 1.5 times. So even if you did soybeans twice, which I don't think you can double crop soybeans, you you know, let's say it's 5-3. But even if it's not 5-3, it's 4-3. So we're slowly inching away, and this was why the math and the modeling was making it really, really clear when I was working those sunflowers the first year that I had picked a losing path. And so we're still in the position of, you know, is there somebody that got further ahead that started with grass right away? Time will tell when we go through things. So now the issue is, for the reality, me and others may have the problem because we are heading into holidays. So the next harvest technically is falling on Christmas Day. I may or may not be able to do things. I'm sure early or late I'll be able to at least do my grass, but I think what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a lot of contracts that are going to go unworked, or, you know, maybe we've got folks who don't celebrate Christmas, or, you know, don't have family around, whatever, who can get on the server. But I know there's been a lot of FMs kind of saying they're kind of out of pocket for the next 4 or 5 days. So there's going to be an inherent advantage, just as there would be for a real farmer. If I can do work when others can't do work, I'm going to make more money than they are. But that's the situation that is shaping up here right now. So I'm feeling really, really good. Right now, I'm not selling any of this silage because I can wait until September when, whoa, I've got this huge increase in price. Now, again, this just gets me back to the average. But the point is I can ride out this trough right now because I've got a full silo and this will be processing, and I could even theoretically push it a bit because, again, I'm going to move, you know, the capacity is the same, so I'm going to get 338, so about 140 of this, 125 of this is going to process out. So I'm going to have room for 125,000 liters. And yes, I'm sorry I buried the lead. I didn't give you the key information. 301,132 liters of grass in this harvest cycle. So, you know, at some point I'm going to pop back on here. I'm going to throw fertilizer down on the fields because, once again, I verified I've got an 8 to 12% fluctuation. That's going to be 20 or 30,000 liters of grass / turn it into silage. So that is going to make a significant difference. Now, what we're likely going to start to see also in the next cycle, so that you're kind of prepared, I got everything in the trailer. The way this is working, however, again, keep in mind the silo is processing a little, let's say 85,000 liters a day. So that's only 170,000 liters. That's less than 301,000 liters. You know, initially I was kind of assuming that I would have 3 days because I was thinking, oh, we're going to have all those harvests, so we may not be able to maximize everything because obviously I've got nowhere to put things. I have started to have the crazy thought of, do I put up another one of these? That's going to become part of the modeling, but next time, certainly the entire field will be mowed. The question that's going to happen, because what I think I will be doing, I will harvest next time in September. There will be grass left on the field. I will be picking that grass up as I can over the next day and getting it into the silo, but getting it off the field. Because, like I said, I'm not sure then if I remow, which the grass will keep growing, but if I remow when I've already got grass there, I may just lose that. It may not actually give me credit for that. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, I need to get everything off the field in October. That may not be possible. And so what may happen is I may show up here in November, and I mean, if it's close, what I may do then is wait for the November cut till the end of the day till I can pick everything up. You know, once again, this probably, because I kind of bounced around, I didn't get a chance to time this, but I'm thinking this is taking me like 2 hours to do this harvest, so I can certainly do it in the evening or something if I need to push it off. You know, the other benefit with grass that we haven't talked about but may come into play is I don't believe there's any loss in cutting grass when it's raining. So unlike crops, where you may suddenly be washed out of your harvest cycle, we're not going to hit that with grass, I don't believe. So that's yet another benefit in the pro column for grass. But then what I'm expecting is going to happen is I'm going to have a field of mowed grass sitting here in November, and I'm going to pick it up as fast as I can and get it in the silo over the 3 days of winter when the grass stops growing, and that's going to be my catch-up time. And that's really what I was hoping for. I just think this may work out better than even I had imagined, because I was thinking I was going to end up with like 288,000. So at this point, I'm going to end up probably 60,000 more in total over a few harvests than I was planning. And so what that's going to turn into, you know, and then over the course, if I have a 5 harvest year, you know, we're looking at 100,000 additional liters, which can get processed in a day and a third. So I think this is something I might be able to keep up with, but it's going to be interesting. But I may have to back off on the harvest, and then it becomes a real decision of, do I throw in another silo, which once again goes back to, you know, if I knew what I knew now, I would have easily sprung for the mid-size silo. And again, tipping the hand, because I think anybody who thinks it through is going to see this. There's nothing I'm seeing right now, going back to exactly what I said in episode 2. Unless the playing field changes and there's some rule modifications, I'll be farming grass every generation until the end of this thing, because it's just unbeatable. And so then it just becomes, how big an operation do you have? That's kind of where I'm at. And so that will wrap things up for this episode. As always, if you've liked this video and have not blooped the button, please go ahead and do that. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I would really encourage you to do that as well. You're not going to get spammed with anything. You have control over notifications about when videos come out or not. You're not going to get email from me or anything like that, you know, but it greatly helps me out and really doesn't, you know, doesn't have any downside for you. It just lets you stay informed of what's going on and lets you easily find the channel and kind of see what's happened if you're away for weeks, and see what's been put up there and so forth. So if you could do me that kindness, I would greatly appreciate that. Until next time. And since these are getting posted kind of in real time, this is going to go up pretty soon. So it'll be up there before the holidays. So happy holidays to everybody. Because I may not have a video until we're kind of into Christmas or past it on this again, depending on what I've got and what I determine makes sense to show. Because as we've determined, as I'm doing contracts or as I'm doing things like that, I'm not going to keep jumping in. So sorry for the kind of pretending that I'm hanging up the phone and then I keep talking thing, but I'm done this time. See you later.